Unit 8, Exercise 1. Emotion categories, in my view, are made real through collective intentionality. To communicate to someone else that you feel angry, both of you need a shared understanding of anger. If people agree that a particular combination of facial actions and cardiovascular changes is anger in a given context, then it is so. You needn't be explicitly aware of this agreement. You don't even have to agree whether a particular instance is anger or not. You just have to agree in principle that anger exists with certain functions. At that point, people can transmit information about that concept among themselves so efficiently that anger seems inborn. If you and I agree that a furrowed brow indicates anger in a given context, and I furrow my brow, I am efficiently sharing information with you. My movement itself does not carry anger to you any more than vibrations in the air carry sound. By virtue of the fact that we share a concept, my movement initiates a prediction in your brain, a uniquely human brand of magic. It is categorization as a cooperative act. Exercise 2. In order to better understand the dynamics of online interactions and the psychology behind group decision-making processes, consider a question that bears directly on group decisions in general: how people judge comments on websites. Lev Muchnick, a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and his colleagues carried out an experiment on a website that displays diverse stories and allows people to post comments which can in turn be voted up or down. The researchers automatically and artificially gave certain comments on stories an immediate upvote, the first vote that a comment would receive. You might well think that after hundreds or thousands of visitors and ratings, a single initial vote on a comment could not possibly matter. That is a sensible thought, but it is wrong. After seeing an initial upvote and recall that it was entirely artificial, the next viewer became 32% more likely to give an upvote. Exercise 3. We explain our world through stories. In our stories, we are both the storyteller and the principal character. Being able to tell our life story helps us to make sense of it. Perhaps we tell it to ourselves, quietly pondering. Perhaps we write it down, recognizing in reading back something that we did not recognize at the time. But for most of us, chatting to a friend or reflecting with a confidant is the way we tell our stories. And as we tell them, we hear them anew. Telling helps us to notice and to interpret details, to become aware of the bigger picture, or to discern aspects we previously overlooked or denied. Finding a listener who will give our story their full attention, who is prepared to become completely caught up in the tale, is an opportunity to meet ourselves, complete with our noble hopes and miserable failings, and to understand ourselves and the world around us in a truer, more helpful way. Exercise 4. In one study, products to the left of center in a horizontal display were chosen only 24% of the time. Why? Bruce D. Sanders, author of Retailer's Edge, notes that our eyes move to the right when the left hemisphere of the brain, where we do the math, gets active. Therefore, when we think we've gotten a good deal, our happy left side of the brain dominates, and our eyes shift right. It's an explanation for why right-of-center products are more frequently purchased than left-of-center products. This preference for right over left has nothing to do with conscious or rational decision-making. When asked to rate 4 identical pairs of stockings, the pair positioned to the far right was chosen 4-1 over the pair on the far left. Even when experimenters suggested that the position of the stockings might have influenced their selection, participants' responses ranged from confused to dismissive. Exercise 5. With increased access to the Internet across the world, consumers of healthcare patients are better educated. They are able to stay better informed about happenings around the world, timely news, and healthcare's latest trends than at any previous time in history. Today's consumers are demanding healthcare systems and experiences that accommodate their busy schedules, provide useful information that can be obtained quickly and easily, and that allow them to be involved in decision-making. These consumers are different from those in the past because they also demand better access to care and better communication and a new level of participation with their healthcare providers. Plans of treatment are often devised jointly and executed via creative methods. Exercise 6. While our gut may usually give us a good general sense of how the world works, it is frequently not precise. We need data to sharpen the picture. Consider, for example, the effects of weather on mood. You would probably guess that people are more likely to feel more gloomy on a 10-degree day than on a 70-degree day. Indeed, this is correct. But you might not guess how big an impact this temperature difference can make. I looked for correlations between an area's internet searches for depression and a wide range of factors, including economic conditions, education levels, and church attendance. Winter climate swamped all the rest. In winter months, warm climates, such as that of Honolulu, have 40% fewer depression searches than cold climates, such as that of Chicago. Just how significant is this effect? An optimistic read of the effectiveness of antidepressants would find that the most effective drugs decrease the incidence of depression by only about 20%. To judge from the search result numbers, a Chicago to Honolulu move would be at least twice as effective as medication for your winter blues. Exercise 7. Designers use diagrams, pictures, and simple illustrations to explain their work, whether it is how to turn the power on or off in a machine, or how to use a DNA synthesizer, or even a washing machine. Designers understand the need to test their efforts on the people for whom they are intended. Invariably, the tests reveal problems, places where people do not understand, are confused, or worse, could make serious errors in their use of the device under consideration, perhaps losing all of their work and, in the case of machinery or medical devices, perhaps leading to accidents or serious injuries. The reason for this early testing is to find design flaws before the product is released, allowing the design to be corrected. In design, especially the set of procedures that goes under the general label human-centered design, multiple iterations of the design are constructed and tested. Each new iteration, that is, each modification of the design, is guided by the results of tests. Exercise 8. It is interesting to note that all inquiries were once a part of philosophy, that great mother of the sciences, Mater Scientiarum, and philosophy embraced them all in an indifferentiated and amorphous fashion. However, as Western civilization developed, various sciences began to pursue separate and independent courses. Astronomy and physics were among the first to break away and were followed thereafter by chemistry, biology, and geology. In the 19th century, two new sciences appeared: psychology, the science of human behavior, and sociology, the science of human society. Thus, what had once been natural philosophy became the science of physics. What had been mental philosophy, or the philosophy of mind, became the science of psychology. And what had once been social philosophy, or the philosophy of history, became the science of sociology. To the ancient mother, philosophy, still belong several important kinds of inquiries, notably metaphysics, logic, ethics, and aesthetics, but the sciences themselves are no longer studied as subdivisions of philosophy. Exercise 9. Suppose that people's aspirations rise as they get more money. When you live in a student dorm, you may aspire to have your own apartment, even if small. When you live in a small apartment, you may aspire to live in a bigger one. When you live in a bigger apartment, you may aspire to live in your own property, and so on. The more you have, the more you expect, and maybe the more you think you deserve. If so, the beneficial happiness effect of getting more money will be offset, at least partially, by the harmful effect on happiness of rising aspirations. Behavioral economists call this phenomenon the aspiration treadmill. The basic idea is ancient. The Stoic philosopher Seneca diagnosed the problem some 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "Excessive prosperity does indeed create greed in men, and never are desires so well controlled that they vanish once satisfied." Exercise 10. Humanity has entered a new era. We are now living in a world that is increasingly wired by billions of predictive algorithms, a world in which almost everything can be predicted and risk and uncertainty appear to be diminishing in almost all areas of life. We are living longer, thanks to advances in healthcare and precision medicine. We have a greater mastery of the physical world that allows us to dream of and build new technologies that allow us to explore other planets and visualize billions of galaxies. We can model markets, disease, and traffic with increasingly greater precision, and we're getting very close to handing over the keys to the car so it can drive itself. Even more striking, our tools may be revealing the genesis of some elusive and stubborn complexities of human behavior, and algorithms are even being used to alter people's behavior. Predictive algorithms have changed the world and all the worlds to come, and there is no going back. Exercise 11. It is worth noting that the progress in man's understanding about the physical aspects of his environment occurred much earlier in comparison to the social aspects. The main reason for this discrepancy in the development of man's understanding of the two distinct environments, the physical and the social, probably lies in the greater observability and control of physical phenomena, as well as in the impersonal approach that they afford. Physical phenomena are usually more concrete than social phenomena and hence are more observable. Samuel Koenig stated that in his attempt to observe physical phenomena, man was able quite early to develop a measure of detachment, but he found it very difficult to do so regarding social phenomena. In the latter case, he found himself too close to the object of investigation, too involved in it to achieve the objectivity which is indispensable to all science. Exercise 12. When computers process in time, we typically want them to also work in real time. For example, if you set up a microphone with a reverb effect for a performance, you would like it to work both in time and in real time. However, if you just want to add reverb to a pre-recorded song, it does not matter when or how fast it happens. You may probably prefer that the computer does the processing faster than real time. If the computer can process a 3-minute sound file in 7 seconds, it is unnecessary to wait 3 minutes to finish its processing. You may also happen to have a computationally heavy reverb model that runs slower than real time. For a producer working in a studio, it is not crucial whether a process runs in real time. For a performer on stage, however, there is no other option than running in real-time mode. The concert is happening in the now, hence, the tools used need to run both in time and in real time.